thought that I'd check up on the Labour Party pre-election promises, and in the course of my research I came across this page. It says here, 10 Labour policies to change Britain. And here's a sunny picture of Sir Keir and his orcs looking up and smiling heartily. What they are celebrating up there, up high, is left to our imagination. And so far as my imagination stretches, I reckon that now the Labour Party have introduced Sharia law into the British legal system, they're looking up at a high building where there's a group of their more religious Muslim councillors who are up there holding a somewhat unwilling gentleman who's incurred their displeasure since he happens to have a taste in partners which those aforementioned Muslim councillors find counter to their beliefs. And they're about to demonstrate to their unwilling captive the gravity of his situation, much to the obvious satisfaction of the Labour orcs below. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. So these are the policies which the Labour Party promised to get into law. And the first thing they say is they're going to deliver 2 million more NHS appointments a year. Now, I thought at first that they were talking about employment appointments, but no. What they're talking about here is, appointments with your doctor. And what was it? 2 million more a year would be around 50,000 more appointments a week. How are they going to do this? Well, they're going to pay staff extra to work during evening and weekends so that they can put more appointments there during evenings and weekends when doctors' surgeries usually are closed. Well, I'm going to ask this question now and I'm going to ask it again in a little while. But just for reference, somebody's going to have to pay for this extra time and a half or whatever it is that the staff will have to be paid. So just keep that in your mind. And then consider this. It's lovely to have all those extra appointments, but the problem with that is you may get more people seen for the primary appointments. That is, you've got a pain, you go to the doctor, you see the doctor quicker, but what happens next? Is there going to be a magical increase in the number of specialists, for instance? And are operating theatres somehow going to pop into existence? Or what about hospital beds? I mean, it's not just a matter of getting to see your doctor a bit quicker, is it? All right, so that's the first one. Next one is set up Great British Energy. Great British Energy. What's his name say about, I think it was Johnson, patriotism being the last refuge of the scoundrel? So this is, here we are. Make Britain a clean energy superpower, it says. This is Ed Miliband, and we all know, as he does, that carbon is responsible for everything wrong with the world. So a think tank commissioned research with a company called Aurora Energy, and they calculated the policy would require that the United Kingdom will have to increase its wind generating capacity by 3 times over the next 6 years. And solar energy and onshore wind would have to be doubled. That's a lot of building, and all done in the next 5 years, which means everything will be done in a great hurry. Now, I know that when I do anything in a great hurry, I end up with a mess that I have to do again. Just saying. All right, so that's the Great British Energy. Let's go back to the policies. Yeah, it says here, close the private education tax loopholes to improve schools. It's just astonishing what they came up with there. Okay, so the private education tax loophole, which they call it a loophole, is this. VAT, value added tax, is paid to everything that you buy, except certain things which are considered staples. And for instance, I think bread doesn't have VAT on it. And there was a big fuss for years in Britain about sanitary towels and things like that should not be charged VAT because they are an essential for most women. But the EU didn't see it that way. And since then, even though we're out of the EU, I'm not so sure that anything has been done about that. But that's beside the point. A charity is also exempt from VAT. Now, what the government is saying is that the schools call themselves charities and so are exploiting the VAT relief. However, there is no country in Europe, certainly that I know of, that charges VAT on education, which is regarded as a human right. So actually what they're doing is they are going to charge VAT on education, which is actually charging VAT on something that legally they're not supposed to be charging on. And how that will improve schools is another matter. A lot of private schools will close down because their customers cannot afford the fees, which are high enough, as well as the 20% VAT or whatever it is. So they're going to close down. And they're going to throw more strain on the state school system. So I don't see how that'll improve schools at all. Suddenly, the overcrowded classrooms in the state sector are going to get even more overcrowded with a sudden influx of pupils who'd previously been in the private sector and relieving the pressure. Of course, what it will do is give the state a complete monopoly on education. And I think that really is what's going on. There's nothing a communist government wants more than the young minds of the next generation. And in a state school, you can be fairly sure of that. All right, so that's your VAT taxing most private schools out of existence, except for the super rich, of course. The next one, bring back the family doctor. You see, what's happened is there are doctors' practices which may have 6, 7, 8, 9 doctors. They're clinics, really. And the family doctor, you don't get to see the same doctor every time. You just get the next one in line. And Labour say they're going to bring back the family doctor. It's a bit of a joke, considering that the Labour Party doesn't even seem to know what a family is. But let's get back to matters medical. You need the medical unions to cooperate with whatever that might entail, to have one doctor dealing with one family. And the very first thing that the BMA, the doctors' union, said when asked about the family doctor idea was it won't work. And they say it won't work because of the stress on the system. There are too many people. Guess why that happened. And if the BMA says it won't work because the BMA are the people who are running the show. In fact, the BMA got doctors a 22% rise in their salaries. After just after the Labour Party was elected. And so question number 2, you may remember question number 1. Where's the money coming from to pay for these doctors? Well, of course, it's coming out of the public purse. Again, now just hold that thought. According to the Labour Party, surgeries would also receive financial incentives for providing a family doctor service. And those who don't would get less money. I'm sure the doctors' unions would have a word to say about that. They just managed, as I said, to screw 22% out of the government just a few weeks ago, and they are going for 35%. So I can't see the BMA members agreeing to being paid less if they can't provide this family doctor service that the Labour Party is so keen on. All right, the next one. Stop the water company bosses' bonuses when their companies harm the environment. Absolutely right. I wish that would have happened before. And Labour has got that right, and it's easy enough to do, and it doesn't come out of the public purse. Everything's right about it, which shows even a stopped clock can be right twice a day. Well, if it's an analogue clock anyway. OK, next one. End hotel use for asylum seekers. So where are those thousands of mostly military-age men to be accommodated? Well, according to the latest statistics, there were 56,000 of them in hotels in 2023, and then another 30,000 in 2024. I might not have the figures accurately. It's a bit difficult to find them. But it's a lot. It's tens of thousands. And it means we've probably got about 86,000 illegal migrants in our country right now, most of whom are housed in temporary accommodation, like hotels. And this is only the illegals, remember. There are legals too, many more actually. And some of them are legitimate refugees who have to throw themselves on the mercy of the state. So let's add another 20,000 of homeless people, migrants. It's probably a lot more. But just for the sake of argument, we've got a grand total of just over 100,000 immigrants right now that need housing, and that's only in this year. Where will they all live? Well, the Labour Party have promised to build 1.5 million new homes. So I'll make a guess. They'll be first in line for housing these homeless refugees, after which the 300,000 British homeless might be put on the list. And remember that 300,000 is a statistic that comes from Shelter, the charity that deals with homelessness. And of course, their figures can take into account only the people who actually report to Shelter for help. There are many more that are sort of secret homeless people. It's been acknowledged, for instance, that there are many more sofa surfers, rough sleepers and illegal squatters that the homeless charities don't know about. One of my best friends was a sofa surfer for about 3 years when she was a teenager, because her family situation wasn't, well, it was pretty awful. So I think my figures are probably quite conservative. So that 1.5 million homes is going to get used up pretty quickly, isn't it? Greater support for victims of violence against women. Yeah, first we have to define what a woman is, don't we? I think I'll leave that there for the time being, because those are fine words which probably won't get much real attention. Put passengers first and establish Great British Railways. Oh, to go with the Great British Energy. It's a great slogan anyway. It's a renationalisation programme. And the latest news on that is that train drivers just got a huge increase in wages. And there's been absolutely no improvement either in the service or in the terms of their employment. Everyone knows that they have certain perks of the job that mean they aren't working as hard as they're supposed to. I know that being a train driver is a responsible job, but even being a street sweeper is a responsible job if you're doing it properly. Everybody's job is a responsible job. And again, I'm going to ask, this is question 3, isn't it? Where did the money come from for paying the train drivers that much more? Uncle me. All right, now, next one is make the minimum wage a genuine living wage. Okay, a genuine living wage. Look, I'll try and explain this in words of one syllable, not because I think most of my viewers couldn't understand more, but because the government doesn't seem to understand more. The wage goes up and the cost of living goes up. Okay? I'm sorry, I know living is a 2-syllable word. It looks like my promises are about as achievable as the Labour Party's. Anyway, let's carry on. The wage goes up. Cost of living goes up, then the wage has to go up, then the cost of living has to go up, and then the wage goes up, and then, well, I'm sure you are getting the point. The wage has to go up to keep pace, and the cost of living has to go up again. And yeah, the minimum wage is a lovely idea, but it's economically illiterate. And that's not just hard-hearted old me. I have Thomas Sowell to back me up on that one. So there. The minimum wage is going to put a lot of businesses out of business, a lot of small businesses out of business, for sure. And so the small businesses out of business are going to mean more unemployment. Unemployment means unemployment benefit. Where's the money going to come from? Is that question 4? Where's the money going to come from to support the unemployed? Right, let's carry on. Next one, free breakfast clubs in every primary school in England. That's very nice as well, although I do have to point out that they aren't free. Somebody has to pay for them. Since I'm reading that the highest earners, being financially savvy and seeing which way the wind farm is blowing, the highest earners, the people who pay 28% of all income tax, they're buggering off to more sympathetic climes. More financially sympathetic climes, that is. So who's going to be paying for those free breakfasts? I suppose it will have to be the pensioners, who not only won't be able to keep themselves warm, but it looks like they'll also be paying an extra tax on their pensions. I found, here we are. Labour are hiding the full horrifying truth about their pension plans. It's not only that they're scrapping the universal winter fuel payment, but they're going to cut the amount of money pensioners can actually take out of their retirement pots without paying tax. So they won't be allowed to take out more than a certain amount before the government starts to extend its hand for its cut. And it's been calculated that an extra 4,000 pensioners are going to die over the winter through hardship caused by this regime. Of course, that's not such a bad idea, because the government can then confiscate what property they have left and take inheritance tax on it. Simples. All right, well, there's my breakdown of the 10 Labour policies to change Britain. It's certainly going to change Britain. We are going to be building stuff in a hurry, which means badly. And we're going to be taking more money from everybody, but especially the pensioners, because they're too old and tired to fight back. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.